888-956-KKTX. Chief Floyd Simpson in the box. I meant to talk to you. Good morning. I meant to say something to you about this last week, but it's about the not cab drivers, but Uber cab. That's the name, right?
Uber.
And then the people who share a ride with the mustaches on the front of their vehicles. Okay. I'm at a party last Saturday night, and strangely enough, Dr. Keith Rose's brother brought this up about he's doing all this Uber stuff. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, we got a problem with it here. He said, you do? I said, yeah, I believe people are getting tickets for doing it.
Yeah. And it's not our problem, the PD's problem. The issue is as it stands now, they're violating the ordinance, and we're all for. And
the ordinance is?
The ordinance regulates vehicle for hires, taxis, limousines, party buses. Mm-hmm. And, I'm almost scared to bring this up, but it actually is my business. After y'all's conversations this morning, safety.
Mm-hmm. Safety.
Yeah, but I think I can do it because it is my business. But in actuality, taxi cab drivers are backgrounded to a really good degree. There's a national background on taxi drivers. The industry is regulated. They have base here. I know many of our community taxi companies. They do charitable things for elderly people, and so this Uber Lyft group, or all these different companies, they fashion themselves as not a vehicle for hire. They're a technology company. Thereby, they're skirting the ordinances. They're not based here. They don't have a home office here. And more than anything, you hear horror stories of them leaving drivers hanging out to dry. And so, bottom line is, if I hate to punt this back to my council buddies, but if they want us to bring forward something different than what the current ordinance is, we're all for that, and we'll try to put something together. And incidentally, this is not just a Corpus Christi issue. There's articles across the country whereby police chiefs have taken the same position that I've taken, and that is if you're wanting me to enforce the ordinances, then that's what we have to do.
All right. They just recently auctioned these off, medallions in order for you to be able to operate a taxi cab in New York City.
Medallion. Okay, so because they've got what 2,200,000 taxis or
something like that.
Yeah, so
they limit the number, right? They limit the number.
Yeah, right. Correct.
Okay, 200 of them. They went for about 1.3 million each.
Yeah.
So if you got guys that don't have to get the medallion,
correct. You don't have to follow them. It's an uneven playing field.
It just a bit.
Correct.
You can get just get one of those little cars and just decide you're going to start running.
I'm going to be a driver.
Service.
They say they do a background check, yet we find many people who, for example, are felons. There've been occasions whereby these people have been hired by this company or authorized to be a Uber, Lyft sidecar driver, have come back and committed crimes. I was just showing Mark an article in Chicago where a driver fondled a woman. I've got 3 daughters, and we're not using that service because I'm not comfortable with the level of background check. I know what we do here in the city of Corpus Christi.
With the drivers.
Correct, because we do it. And again, I do feel a sense of kinship to our local cab companies because they oftentimes do things for our elderly people for no charge. They have a vested interest in this community, and that's kind of my personal take. You should do the things that it takes to operate your business in a particular area, or we ought to look at the ordinance and change it. Just bottom line for me. And frankly, either way is fine with me.
Well, we don't have to have a medallion here, but you have to have something.
You have to go and get licensed.
You got to go get your driver's license. Your company has to be registered. You have to follow ordinance. There's a special way we want we just went through this ordinance change. Right. A local office. There's a way you have to dispatch. Your cabs can't be more than 10 years old. Drivers have to pass a pretty rigorous background check. You can't. The fares are. I can't gouge you.
So if I wanted to, if I decided, you know what, this is Texas. There are a lot of people that like to ride in pickups. I'm going to start the Lagos pickup taxi
Uber service
truck.
Yeah. So you register with Uber.
Yep.
They say they do a background check. Okay. That's what they tell you. Okay. But I'm reading horror stories.
Do the people pay me? So
you put your credit card on file, and it deducts every time you use it. So there's no cash that exchange.
And how do I get my gas money back?
Well, they're gonna pay you something. They're gonna send you.
They're gonna pay me something.
Correct.
So the guy behind the wheel is not able to participate in the actual exchange of currency.
It's all credit card. It's all pre-registered, and they hit your card when you use the service.
But Blake uses it a lot, doesn't he? I thought Blake is a big user across the country of Uber.
Yeah, so it started in California. It's big there. It's big in all these cities, and you always hear these stories. Oh, I used it. It was great. Okay. Have at it. I'm not using it because I don't trust the background check.
Well, what's the difference between that and the war they had in some of the northern cities with gypsy cabs? It's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think what excites certain users is the ease of use. You just go in, it zaps your credit card. You're not looking for $17 in your pocket. I think that's what Judge Pate wrote a forum this week.
And they're quick. Hey, I'll give it to them. Great model. I mean, it works and it's fast. They got big old SUVs that make you look like you're in the presidential motorcade sometimes. And I mean, it works for some people, but for me, I'd rather put my daughter in a cab that I know the driver's been checked up.
Lago in the morning. News Radio 1360 KKTX. Chief Floyd Simpson in the box. I got two things. I don't know if you ever watched Maverick.
Oh, man, I'm so depressed. I loved James Garner.
He was cool, right?
He was the coolest Western guy. I mean, he didn't have to shoot you like Clint Eastwood. He didn't have to bully you like John Wayne. There were a couple of episodes where a guy would come up and go, "You're going to pull. We're going down right now." And he'd have a cup of coffee in his hand. And he'd kind of go, "Really?" And he would throw the coffee can at the guy. The guy would stumble, then boom, he'd knock him out. He didn't have to shoot him. I love those shows. Yeah. I'm sorry, I jumped in.
No, it's good.
I love James Garner.
I liked his car, man.
Oh, the Rockford Files, and yeah. I liked him as a country western.
That was a Pontiac Trans Am one.
man.
Before they put the big bird on the nose.
See, that's the thing about you. There's
stunk it all up.
Nobody that has a cool car, nobody has a General Lee, or nobody has
right now
the Rockford car, or what's the car that used to talk to you?
Yeah, I know. I knew you're going there.
Yeah.
First homosexual car.
Yeah.
I think Metro would be the metrosexual
I don't know.
car. Would be better.
I'm not sure.
And by the way, I think he was married to the same woman for like 50 years. I mean, how do you do that in Hollywood? And he just did.
I don't think he bought into Hollywood. I just think he's kind of a blase actor, He
That's
just kind of
exactly right.
Yeah.
He was sort of I'm an actor, but do we have to talk about it?
Right.
I just want to have a little fun, do my thing.
Yeah.
I told my son last night, because those original Mavericks were black and white, I think.
Some of them, yeah.
And we were talking about it last night. He said he was going to go watch some of those. Because nowadays it's all about, you got a gun with 8 bullets and you kill 10 people. Or you have that presence. And he, in his Maverick shows, he was just a good guy.
Yeah.
Well, nonchalant is the word I was looking for.
That's what he was. Yeah.
He was.
Yep.
And he pretty much proved he was really a terrific actor in some of those later Murphy's Romance.
Mm-hmm.
That was a chick flick that I could sit through because it had James Garner in it.
Yeah.
But
you're legal.
I remember watching the Rockford Files. Most of them were in reruns.
Yeah.
And, he didn't have an easy upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
After their mother's death, Gardner and his brothers were sent to live with relatives. He grew to really dislike his stepmother, Wilma. She beat all three of the Garner boys, especially James.
Oh, wow.
When he was 14, he finally had enough, and after a particularly heated battle, she left for good. And he said that his stepmother punished him by forcing him to wear a dress in public.
Oh, wow.
And that he finally engaged a physical fight with her, knocking her down and choking her to keep her from killing him in retaliation. Now, I was thinking about this day before. Well, no, it was yesterday. There was a segment from the Rockford Files that, and if you never saw that, if you ever want to know the answer to the question, what's the sound of one hand clapping, it's pretty much this episode of the Rockford Files. Let me just play this for you, because this is this is sort of relates to the world we're living in today, the mumbo-jumbo insanity of what you might call the progressive movement.
I've just about had it with you.
What's the matter?
I'm tired of your philosophizing and moralizing and whining.
Whining?
Yeah, you want to give me a sermon about the hamburger and you got gall enough to eat it.
Ordinarily, I wouldn't touch meat, but I'm hungry. And even the Bhagavad Gita says...
Oh, just stow it, okay? If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. Your flaky attitude. Heavy problems at every turn. You can't remember anything now. I'm buying your meals. What can you do, lady?
My consciousness doesn't lend itself to problem solving like yours does, okay? I'm into an alternative lifestyle. I'm a seeker after truth. Now, what's so wrong with that?
Your alternative lifestyle comes out of somebody else's pocket. You mooch, you borrow, you hardly work. Anybody doesn't go along with it. They're fascist or unmellow, competitive. All that love and freedom, just another way of saying me first.
It is not.
Yes, it is. You just don't have a sense of responsibility. That's all there is to it.
What you mean is I'm not into structured living or accumulated things. I'm into my consciousness.
Consciousness? You're practically unconscious 24 hours a day. What you're into is having somebody else do your thinking for you. There's Gordon Borchers, Baba, the Bhagavad Gita. Next there's going to be Sam Levinson or Francis the Talking Mule, for all I know. They have all the answers, right? Don't you have any answers of your own?
Those are pathways to bliss.
Maybe. But you don't practice them, you just talk about them. You flip from ashram to water tank and back. Are you any happier for it, huh? Look around you. You see a lot of bliss out there?
I don't think I've done so bad for being 32 years old.
You're 40. I've seen your driver's license.
I was 40, but I'm making positive affirmations. I am 32. I'm youthing myself.
You're 40.
But I don't want to get old.
Well, neither do I.
Oh, but you see, we don't have to, not if we...
There's nothing you can do about it. That's the way it is. I'm sorry to be the bearer of the bad news. There's no easy answer, you know. There's no quickie nirvana. You don't like it? Tough. Join the club.
There you go.
Okay.
Book to follow.
What? What, Sam? YouTube. Quickie Nirvana.
I'm impressed.
He's good.
Yeah, how you found it?
You're impressed.
Yeah.
Hey, after spending hours looking for it, let me tell you what happened. I went, come on, you can think of that woman's name. I'm out crawling around on my hands and knees on the driveway trying to negotiate a drip irrigation system, and I thought,
boom.
Her name was Aquarius. No, it was Sky Aquarium. That was it. I went back in, Googled that. First one. There it was. News Radio 1360 KKDX. Chief Floyd Simpson in the box. City Councilman Mark Scott. I just watched a report on Uber cabs in Chicago taking people around to the great landmarks, and there are plenty of them, and having problems finding them because the Uber cab drivers didn't know the way around.
Correct. And I'm going to forward you this email. I'll let you look more.
I'd be
it's
pretty
about
angry.
a 5-minute deal, and it talks about crashes that weren't covered. It talks about background checks that weren't done, and on and on and on and on. And again, it may sound like that I'm totally against them. For the record, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to find common ground, allow them to operate if that's where we're going to be, and move on. You know, I just don't think they can run into town, disregard our set of rules and way of life just because they think it's the right thing to do. And I can tell you, they're big-time money people. I think they got Google behind them some sort of way. I get that. Mm-hmm. I get that probably we're going to have to come to some resolution. I get that. But, you know, we ought to think this thing through and make sure that we're doing the right thing for our city. Another
law enforcement story. This was in the crime and not so much punishment segment of the program early this morning. Saginaw, Michigan. The inmates at the Saginaw County Jail now have to wear jumpsuits with black and white stripes. Mm-hmm. The sheriff, William Federspiel, banned the orange jumpsuits because people thought they were cool.
Hey, orange is the new black. Orange is the new black.
The sheriff says it's a concern because sometimes the inmates are out doing work.
Yep.
And he doesn't want the public to confuse them with anyone else or have them walk away.
Yep.
One of the news people said, but the inmates don't like them.
Well, doesn't make them feel good.
And the sheriff said, too bad. Don't come to jail.
Mm.
You come to dinner at my house, you don't like what I'm serving, don't come back. If you don't like the food, don't come back. If you don't like the clothes, don't come back.
Huh. Interesting concept, right?
I like it.
You know, but our sheriff makes inmates who are out working wear those. You ever seen them around town?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I was shocked because I came from, I guess, down near Concrete Street, Hogemeyer's Barbecue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they were working on the old courthouse building. You know,
really? That the ones that may have
grass
mowed
were
it.
growing in that. Yeah. And so they were working on that, and Mike Markle and I were coming from the barbecue, coming from lunch, and I look over and I go, "Did you see that?" He goes, "Yeah." And I goes, "That reminds me of that movie Life," where Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence are in, and they had those black and white stripes.
Yeah.
And I look over, and it just shocked the heck out of me because I hadn't seen that. But yeah, our Sheriff Kalin has those guys wearing those stripes, and I'm going, good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And especially working at the old courthouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody's got to mow the grass.
They're out working. Good thing.
Wally, good morning. Welcome to Lago in the Morning.
Hey, good morning, Tim. I want to talk to the chief.
Good morning.
Hey, listen, Shorty.
I grew since we last talked.
Hey, listen. You know what I call them guys in stripy suits?
What?
Zebras on two legs.
Zebras on two legs?
Oh, hey, listen. Something happened Sunday morning.
What?
In front of my church across the street over there in Alameda, St. Patrick's.
Yeah.
You know what that is?
Yes.
There were two policemen parked in that convenience store parking lot.
Uh-huh.
And guess what they were doing?
Writing reports.
No, they took somebody in, had no clothes on.
Oh, my God.
Was a female.
Oh, boy.
And then he came across and wanted to know my phone number and my name. Because I was hollering at him, take him to jail, take her to jail.
They wanted you to be a witness?
I don't know. Because I told him, I said, so excited at 10:15 in the morning in front of a church.
Wow. It happens.
Yeah. It wasn't me.
Well, I'm glad.
Well, I just wanted you to back up their story.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you in that, Wally.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
560-5589, 560-KKTX. I was coming in this morning, I turned to go down West Point, and there was I noticed that on the access road there was a police, the Tahoe-looking thing.
Yeah, no one saw the lights.
And, but he made the turn, and then he made a U-turn in there, and his lights were on. They were working on the Textile was working on the street up there, or the highway, and the red light was flashing. Is there something else that's going on?
No, no, I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I'll get a chance for me to work it in. Today at 10 o'clock, we're unveiling a police memorial highway sign. And through the efforts of our POA, Chewy Hinojosa, Todd Hunter, and Abel Herrera, we were able to get this deal passed through where we're dedicating a part of the highway there. And today, Sheriff Kalen, myself, and members of our local law enforcement community are going to be there for an unveiling of that police memorial sign. It may have something to do with that because we wanted to make sure the grass was cut and all of that's good, and sometimes we'll help them out.
Where's the section? It's on SPID?
Yeah, hang on. Let me tell you exactly where it is. It's located at 358 eastbound, and we're going to close east and westbound down at 10 o'clock. We'll make it one lane. But it's on the Agnes. It'll be held at the Agnes on-ramp to 358 eastbound, and we'll be in the grassy median over there at 10 o'clock. So invite whoever wants to come out and see that. And if you remember, that's where in 2009 where Stuart Alexander was killed, kind of right across the way over there. But it's been a long time coming, and some great effort by some really good people. And our POA actually. Nobody paid for that sign. They actually raised that money and did work to get that done. And I think it was between $10,000 and $15,000. So they, Mike's staff and Scott Leeton did an excellent job leading that deal. So it's going to be a pretty good deal for us today. So it may have had something to do with them kind of cleaning up that area, getting it ready.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Mark brought up. I thought it sounded familiar, but then I thought it was a different story because there was actually a guy died.
Yeah, a pedestrian. Somebody was trying to walk.
Yes.
I got a call from one of the TV stations. They said that's the second person to die trying to cross Weber, and so they were going to do a story on should there be a crosswalk. And
right.
And I wasn't involved in that, so I didn't have a lot to say. But I guess, and then you guys stopped, and somebody ran in the back of one of your cruisers.
Yes, and that happens.
And he had cocaine in his underwear or something.
In his
boxers or something.
Yeah. And you wonder, people wonder, well, how'd you get in his boxers? Well, if you're arrested, we call it incident to your arrest. You have to do a search.
Yeah.
And that's how we found that stuff. Yeah.
So you've got everybody's doing the work. They've got a guy that was struck by a car, and then another guy comes along and plows into a police car.
First car hits somebody, kills them, leaves the scene, right?
Yes.
And then so the police arrive.
They're working
EMS,
and then boom, we get hit. And one of my guys, I think, suffered a concussion from that thing. But at any rate, just like you talked about, Jim, those lights, they attract drunks, And oftentimes, they'll look over at those lights and they go where they're looking and pow.
And that happens all over the country.
Absolutely.
Got to.
It's amazing the cars that get hit.
Yes.
On the freeway. What are drivers doing?
Well, he's saying that
they're rubbernecking and you're going where you're looking. You look right and all of a sudden you're right there on it. You're probably going faster than you should, and you can't stop. And then it doesn't help if you've had a few.
Under the influence.
Yeah.
Or have baggies in your.
You have to admit, though, why did you
underwear.
leave? Well, I had a bunch of cocaine. Well, okay, that makes sense.
Well, there's two
Not a
different
good thing,
things.
but I get it.
No, the guy that had the cocaine wasn't the guy that ran over the guy.
Yeah, right.
Right, but didn't the second guy, or he just lied about who he was? He gave bad information.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, under arrest, and we find what
I got you.
Yeah.
News Radio 1360 KKATX. Interesting discussion today at City Council. It's about the safety plan.
For the children, Jim.
Will they put bollards on the beach? Yeah, city documents show the 2008 referendum was to create pedestrian-safe areas because, God knows, it's been open season on pedestrians on the beach for as long as I can remember. Jim, good morning. Welcome to Lago in the Morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I had a question about the Joe Fulton corridor flyover, and I don't know if you guys got any information on this or not, but, it seemed like it took that thing about 3 years to be completed from start to finish. I live right there, and I can see it from my backyard. And a lot of the truck traffic used that when it was first built, but now I see that stuff has sort of rerouted itself again back on Upriver Road, and I was wondering why am I seeing so much of that truck traffic on Upriver Road, and they're not using the flyover?
This is Mark. I think the flyover is you would only use the flyover if you were going to the north side of the ship channel. So what I think there's a combination. Not one, they're still using the north side ship channel, but there's just not a lot of business over there. And you're seeing increased traffic on Upriver Road due to Eagleford stuff. I just think all those refineries, all those the different refinery industries are have a substantial increase in truck traffic because they're doing more business. But they wouldn't be using the flyover. You don't use the flyover if you're on the south side of the ship channel.
Heading north. Well, this is what I noticed, Mark. A lot of the trucks look identical, and some of them use the flyover, and others go down Upriver Road, and they almost look like they're the same trucking outfit.
It could be. Yeah, I think some of those same trucking outfits work for projects on the north side of the ship channel and the south side of the ship channel. A lot of these guys create a product, then they hire the trucking company to move the product. But
I just noticed that the trucks seem to just sort of disappear for about a year, and then all of a sudden they just reappeared down Upriver Road, and it just seemed funny. You would have thought, well, there would have been continued traffic down Upriver Road if what you're saying was right, but it just seems like now all of a sudden there's a surge down Upriver Road, and
well, what do you think it is then? If you don't think Mark's right?
Well, no, I honestly don't know. That's why I'm asking you guys. It just doesn't jibe in my mind because I'm seeing some use it, some don't, and a surge within the past couple of months on Upriver Road where there was hardly anything shortly after the thing was built.
Yeah, I think it was probably always there, and it's increasing, and it's probably increasing dramatically. And I guess that might top off when all those tank farms get connected via pipelines, because there's pipelines being built from Eagleford down into Corpus Christi now. And when the pipelines get going, I don't think you need as much truck traffic. But so I think it's always been there. It's just standing out more now because there's more business.
Some of those tank farms have opened, which leads you to you don't have to get on the Joe Fulton corridor to dispose of your load.
Right. But if you're the refineries and you're making fuel, you're making more fuel today than you were a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And you're trucking it out.
The trucks I'm seeing are not tankers at all. They're the tarp-covered, long-bedded style dump trucks or something like that.
Could be. There's a bunch of construction up
going
River
on
Road.
all over that.
Yeah, Traffic Bureau has a monumental project. That may be part of what you're seeing is just a lot of construction going on. Yes,
yeah,
which will top off once it's finished.
Oh, well, thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
Take care.
Chief, I appreciate the time this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Mark?
Jim?
Should
Good to see
be
you, sir.
fun to watch.
Yes. I'm going to sit quiet in the corner.
Do you see about 3 o'clock?
For finish today?
No, for the beginning of that discussion on the safety issue.
No, it'll happen earlier because it's not a big agenda.
Have yourself a Bluebell Country Day.